Welcome to The Other Side of the Page, a Bookish podcast where we yap about the books we love
and the songs that give us main character energy.
We're here to sift through the chaos that is our TBR.
And to let you know why a book might just be your next favorite read.
I'm Britt, dramatic plot twist lover and champion for MMCs needing to be more pathetic and down bad.
And I'm Hannah, reader of at least 5 books at once and a detailed fantasy map enthusiast.
Every Wednesday, press play on a brand new Bookish episode.
And stay up to date with the books we will be covering by following us on social media at othersideofthepagepod over on TikTok, Instagram, and Threads.
Yes, and don't forget to follow, rate, and review the podcast a shining 5 stars because it helps us so much with visibility.
This week, we are diving into female fantasy by Iman Hariri, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to start this over.
Okay.
This week, we are diving into female fantasy by Iman Hariri-Kia.
Yes, we will be talking about our song choices alongside the plot and chatting about our favorite moments, so grab an iced coffee
or iced chai,
and let's turn the page together.
Dear reader, here is a synopsis of female fantasy straight from the author's website. Junie is living in a fantasy. At least that's what people keep telling her. A copywriter by day and a fanfic writer by night, Junie continues to date and dump disappointing men in search of a happily ever after. But every potential suitor seems to have one flaw in common. They can't hold a candle to her book boyfriend Reich, the protagonist of her favorite fantasy romance series, and notably a sexy merman. Reich is a symbol for the life Junie craves and the kind of relationship she deserves. So with a book always in her back pocket, why would she ever settle for less? But when Junie learns that Reich's character is based on someone the author knows in real life, she embarks on an epic quest to track him down, meet him in person, and determine once and for all if soulmates really do exist. Unfortunately, her brother's annoying best friend, who doesn't believe in love or happy endings, insists on hitching a ride. And like any great hero's journey, it doesn't take long for the trials and tribulations to begin. As Junie fights her way towards her love interest, using the skills she acquired through reading, she'll learn an important lesson. You can pursue a fantasy, but you can't always write your own plot. And we think you should read this book if you just want a fun, self-aware story about romance readers and just the love story that could be right in front of you.
Yes, and you might want to avoid this book if any of the following are potentially triggering for you. Kidnapping, emotional abuse, sexual content, bullying, violence, racism, infidelity, physical abuse, and blood. But as always, check your triggers because you know yourself best.
Yes. Now our songs.
Song choices. I feel like we picked 2 songs very in like the same vein of each other, just like joyful love songs. So Hannah, what did you bring this week?
I chose Opalite by Taylor Swift.
Naturally. Yeah, I picked How You Get the Girl by Taylor Swift, which is an underrated pop bop, in my opinion.
Yes.
Yep. All right, so now we're going to move into our Pages Turned and Bridges Burned section, and we will be discussing the book Female Fantasy cover to cover, which means spoilers are ahead. We're going to start with our theme lyric, and something really cool about this book, before we get like really, too into the weeds, is that it alternates between an actual contemporary romance story and then excerpts from the book itself, the fantasy book that Reich is in. So we get excerpts of a romantasy and we get a contemporary romance all in one. And overall, it's just like a complete nod and love of the romance genre, which is really cool. But we're going to be discussing everything that happens right now. So if you haven't read it, pause the podcast, come back when you have, or if you have read it or you're just here for the vibes, welcome on in. Hannah, what is your theme lyric from Opalite?
Yes, my theme lyric. I have a lot of lyrics for this one.
Yeah.
But the theme lyric I chose is, I thought my house was haunted. I used to live with ghosts. And all the perfect couples said, when you know, and when you don't, you don't. And to me, it just shows like her previous failed relationships that Junie had. And like, she had some bad ones and just all these like past, like, men that are ghosts. And she thinks that like something is not like clicking, right? So it's like haunted. But all the romance books are telling her, like, when you know, and when you don't, you don't. And that's where she'll find that love that she knows that's out there with that.
Yeah.
So when it's like the perfect couples, it's like the romance couples that she's reading about.
Totally. I have the lyric, tell her how you must have lost your mind when you left her all alone and never told her why. And that's how it works. That's how you lost the girl. And I just thought this was like a perfect nod to Junie and Nico's past because their entire hang up of the relationship, because Nico is her brother's best friend and she strongly dislikes him because we find out that Nico stood Junie up and she never reconciled being embarrassed from that day. But it turns out that his parents were getting divorced. He drank himself into like a stupor for the first time. He passed out, never realized it was a date, and didn't actually have any recollection of leaving Junie.
Yeah.
And so I just thought that this was a perfect lyric of like him just saying like, I must have lost my mind. Like, I never told you why because I didn't even know. And the whole song is just about like, that's how it works. That's how you get the girl, which I thought is so funny in comparison to like her trying to get the man. And in reality, like he just got the girl when he was standing right in front of her. So I thought that was cute.
I love it. Like you were saying before we did our theme lyrics, the story is set up where it has like our current day and then excerpts from the romantasy novel. And with the romantasy novel, we won't go too much in depth in that story because I think it's really there to just help further what's happening in like the current day and just kind of parallel that.
Correct.
But really quick about the romantasy novel, it is like a mermaid fantasy. So Mariah is a human woman who's like taken to live with the mer, and finds out that her fated mate is Rike, a mer prince. Like they just kind of go through and then they have all these trials and they have all these situations that they're put in, and where her fated mate's a prince, but like the sirens have taken over and all this stuff happens. And then we have our current day, which we will be focusing on mostly for this episode. But we have our female main character, Junie, who's an avid romance reader and fanfic writer. And she just compares every love interest she has to the man in her favorite romantasy book, which I mean, understandably.
Yep.
But both chapters would leave it like a cliffhanger. And sometimes I was like, I just want to skip to like the next chapter because it'll go like every other.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't care about this person right now. I want to know what's happening here. But our girl Junie, she like can't find her happy ending.
Yeah.
Like she keeps going on dates, but none of these men can really like hold a candle to Rike. Like Rike is the main character in her romantasy novel that she like picked up after being in like an abusive relationship and trying to like, she goes to the bookstore and the lady's like, oh, I need something to make me believe in love again. And she's like, here you go.
Do I have the book for you?
Right. And like Junie ends up actually writing like fanfic about this and becomes like a pretty popular fanfic writer. Yeah. And has like a group of online friends called the Salty Girls. And they talk about like everything in that chat.
Yeah. And also so as someone who is a certified fangirl at heart and everything that I do, I related to this so deeply. The usernames for the fangirls were like the Salty Girls were my favorite thing ever. As someone who used to run a One Direction Tumblr and write One Direction fanfiction and fanfiction for other things, and then I like have met so many online friends through like the fangirl community.
Yeah.
So I feel like Junie just had like an instant piece of my heart. And then also too, like I mean, I am half white. Like my dad's American 100%, but like growing up, my mom's Lebanese. And so there are a lot of cultural differences that like she grew up with that I also could see paralleled in Junie. And yeah, I as a girly twirly pop who loves her fanfic and almost fired up my AO3 account when the heated rivalry resurgence came in, because I have not felt like this since my 1D days. But yeah, I don't know. I just, as a main character, I had a blast with her.
Yeah, I thought she was a lot of fun. And then, so one day the author of the book, the romantasy book, hops on live. And I just love like all the Salty Girls are like, Junie, like, where are you? Like, Junie's like not paying attention. Then she like hops on live. And the author reveals that the inspiration for Rike is like her college friend and like says his name.
Yeah.
I'm just like, what is going on?
I did think that was crazy. Okay, but did this remind you of like, it reminded me of the Eras Tour when I was at like, I can't remember, I think it was like a Halloween party and there was a new Reputation bodysuit and you and Maddie were texting me over and over and over again. And you were like, it's gold. There's a new bodysuit.
It was a big deal.
It was. Yeah, and then come to find out, like when you watch the docuseries, it was literally because they just didn't have any more fabric. Like there
So they
was
just
like
redid it.
no fucking reason. We were just losing our minds.
Yeah.
But
Um,
yeah, I just a lot of parallels to living a fangirl lifestyle, which I just appreciated the visibility here.
yeah. And then this propels Junie to decide to go to New York City to see
Yes.
if the inspiration is actually her true love.
Hmm.
Anyway, and her brother Tay is like a very protective big brother, and he runs a family restaurant after their parents retired.
Yeah.
But in his opinion on like her dating life is like he is like so over it. And one of the lines in my song Opalite is my brother used to call it eating out of the trash. It's never gonna last.
Yes.
And that was like one of the lines too. It was almost my theme lyric because I was like, that's like Tay, like just like,
It
what are you doing
is.
with all these men?
Yep.
And that's just like his opinion on all her boyfriends. Like, you're eating out of the trash. Like, come on. Come
Yep.
on. Let's move forward here.
I know I love their relationship and their sibling banter was everything. And then Junie, Tay's been pushing her to follow this writing dream, right? And so what perfect vehicle to lie to him about why she's going to New York, then to come up with a fake writers conference that she got into. And Tay's best friend Nico is like, interesting. What writers conference? Where is it? What's going on? Like, and you can tell immediately he's like, this bitch is not going to New York for a writers
Yeah.
conference. However, since Nico is Junie's arch nemesis, he, offers himself up because he said he has business to attend to in New York. He has business to attend to, aka he's gonna go meet a girl and have a good time.
Yeah.
So they said, yeah, I'll go with you to New York. Don't worry. I got you.
Yeah. And we know like right away, like there's something that happened with them.
Yes.
But we don't know exactly what. And they start the road trip and Junie just like does not like Nico. She's like, what?
Yeah.
Like, why are you going? And they like argue about who's going to be driving, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
And then they're talking. And then Junie reveals the real reason she's going to New York City to like stalk this guy. And Nico slams on the brakes, which causes them to get rear-ended.
Mm-hmm.
But I couldn't imagine like being Nico. You're like, what?
Yes. Like excuse me?
Like, okay. And they're stranded in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
Nowhere. And they like have a cute little moment where like she falls asleep leaning into them. And I'm like,
it was so cute.
I don't think Reich is your fated mate. Anyway.
I don't think so.
And then a red Jag pulls up and these idiots get in.
Okay. This, I was like, Junie, you know better. But then also, they get in and then they get kidnapped. They get kidnapped. They're taken and they're off with these people who represent like a very niche group of humans. It's we love and hate to see it. And so at first my initial reaction was like, whoa, wait, what's happening? Like, what the fuck is going on? And then as soon as you take a step back and realize that this is a love letter to the romance genre and romance tropes and, the romance reader, it is a tongue-in-cheek, satirical, really lovely, like, just, hey, these are all of the things that I love in romance, and I'm going to put them in my wackadoodle genre blend because I want you guys to all feel seen. And like as soon as that connected, that I was like, this is satire. Like this is intentional.
It's fun. Yeah.
It's fun. Just like let loose and enjoy it. And it was such a fucking trip. It was such a ride.
Yeah. Especially when you get to the epilogue too. And I mean, we said we were spoiling it. But it's like Junie is writing this too. Like, so she's like embellishing like her life and what happened and throwing in all these little things too. So that, like that was fun to be like that perspective too.
Yes, because it connected all of the little pieces back together. And it reminds me of like the way that we would tell stories where you're like, and then this happened. And can you believe that this happened?
And so they get kidnapped, they get like tied up, and Junie has actually read about escaping, being tied up from her romantasy book.
Of course.
And so they like escape, hotwire the car, and then end up in like a pay by the hour motel. Like
which is very like hilarious. But also we do find out that Nico is actually in hot water with a mob boss.
Yes.
Now the reason though is because he tried to make a bet to save their family restaurant because their restaurant wasn't doing well, and he told Tay that he would take care of it. And his version of taking care of it was wild, golden hearted, extraordinarily misguided.
Yeah. And then when they get to this motel, of course, the tropes keep coming.
Bring them to me.
Because they only have one room with one bed.
Only one bed,
And
baby.
and like you said, like once you like kind of take a step back and you look and you like I was like looking for all the tropes or like just the fun little things, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I know this one. Oh, I know this one. I know how it's gonna turn out.
Yes.
And it's like cheesy and unhinged, but so self-aware that like it makes it fun.
Yes.
Like while you're reading it.
100%. And then they get out of the motel. They're like, okay, well, what do we do? So they take a train. And while Nico is getting food, a psychic comes up and gives Junie her reading.
I just put a physic.
Hold, please.
That's not psychic. I spelled that wrong, right?
Yeah, you sure did. But I did say psychic, right?
Yeah, you did.
All right, let me find the psychic. Listen carefully. She's not going to repeat herself. It says, quote, 3 men emerge from a shallow pool of damnation. One is made of tree sap and ink. The second, hallucinations and the fog of the mystic. And the third, flesh, fire, and the truth of the histories. When the squatting bird chants twice, go forth to the fallacies of your heart. Do not use your mind or your eyes to guide you. Follow the moonlight of your heart. Beware the goat dressed as a lamb. Only then will you defeat the fool and the red-painted maiden and land in the arms of the steady tide. For what you seek, you hold in the marrow of your shrouded words.
What were your thoughts right after that? Were you like, yep, this is how it's going to play out? Like,
oh, no.
Or did you just kind of move on?
I did this on audio, and I went, what? I said, what?
I immediately was like, oh, these are the 3 men. The ink and the, like, I like dissected it all. I was like, oh. And then when they do that later and like later in the book, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a salty girl.
love that for like you and the riddle, because immediately, I think on audio it was harder for me to like grasp what was being said. There was like shrouds and mystics and fog, and I said, slay, I'll figure that out later.
But then they get off the train and they realize that they have no wallets, no IDs, no money, that the psychic probably stole that from them because Junie closed her eyes while she was getting the reading.
She had to absorb it, you know? Yeah. She had to sense it.
Yeah, but Junie does remember that one of the salty girls lives in New York City, and Junie just mailed her something, so she remembers her address. And so they venture there. And Angel is hesitant. They're like, who are you? But then they end up welcoming them into their home with warm arms. And surprise, surprise, some of the other salty girls join them for dinner. And it's how I imagine like dinner with all of our bookish friends. Like if we all got together, like all of our online friends, it's like, oh my gosh. Blah, blah, blah.
Can you imagine? One day. One day. But yeah, so they dissect the prophecy. Nico's confused. He's horrified and confused at like what's happening. But then they go on the roof, and then Nico and Junie talk about what actually happened between them. And so basically, Nico's parents were quote unquote like fated from the day that they were born, but they had a nasty divorce, and that left Nico not believing in love. So Junie's BFF, when they were younger, turned out to be racist, and she made fun of her, and Nico offered to take her to the dance, and so she was really, really excited. And when he said like, it's a date, you know, really cute, like, hey, it's a date, like, it didn't like fully sink in that he was like missing a like date, like, for real. So he got extraordinarily drunk, like I said in my theme lyric, was upset about his parents, and he didn't pick Junie up. But here's what happened. This was the worst part of all. Nico was so drunk that she saw him dancing with the racist friend, and it shattered her heart.
Yeah.
And so then what Nico also doesn't remember is, because he was so drunk, is that he said that she was delusional and living in a fantasy. He apologized the next day, but he didn't realize like what he had done, like the extent of it, because he didn't truly have a memory about it. And so he didn't realize the impact. However, then they hook up, brother's best friend, friends to lovers, years of pining, kind of like a rivals to lovers situation, but like a one-sided situation, because Nico's had feelings for her for a really long time.
Yeah. Aw. But then in the morning, stupid
Junie.
Junie
Junie.
decides to go find this random man, still inspired by Reich. And Nico's like, seriously? No, he's the one heartbroken. Like,
Yep.
I was so pissed. But I will say, like, my favorite chapter is the one that just, the only thing in that chapter is I hate the third act conflict.
Yep.
And I'm like, me too.
Same.
Me too.
Oh, like, listen, I know it's necessary for plot structure. I get it. I understand. We need conflict and tension
I
to
know.
propel a story to the end, but it will hurt my heart every single time.
I know. Especially like this, because I'm like, no, Nico. Like, he just, like,
Nico.
got Junie. And I'm like, Junie, you're a idiot.
We just got there.
But so she essentially goes to stalk Ryan Mayer, who inspired Reich.
Okay, this was also cuckoo, but then I realized it's just kind of like a reverse situation of one of those like dark stalker rom-coms.
Yeah, or like, you know, if like Harry Styles was like in town, I might.
Yeah, I did used to like,
But-
you know, oh, One Direction's at the hotel. Like, let's go see if we can meet them.
But like, no, with
But
like
this is like
the
a real
intent.
person. This is
Yeah.
a real person, you know?
And like, not the intent that like Junie has, right? Like,
Yes.
Junie has like this whole elaborate plan to like see if
Yeah.
he's actually her soulmate. She follows him to a dive bar and sits down at the bar and is like talking to him. And she's like, he's what I expected, but it's not what I needed. Like,
Yes.
like after, you know, everything that happened with Nico, I think she's like, okay, like there's a difference between fantasy and what I actually need.
Yes.
And so after, then she finally calls her brother, and Tay's like, oh my gosh, I'm about to send the National Guard out for you guys. Like, where are you? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't got a hold of you. Junie's like, yeah, well, Nico's like going to visit his one friend that he hooks up with randomly in New York City. And Tay's like, what? He's visiting his mom.
I love that so much. And also, one of my lyrics too, like, kind of ties into this, like, I don't know, this moment of like realization where it just says, like, stand there like a ghost shaking from the rain. She'll open up the door and say, are you insane? Say it's been a long 6 months and you were too afraid to tell her what you want. Like, as we realize, like, the real reason that he's here and the real reason that, like, he's been holding out hope and all this stuff. I just thought that that was like, I don't know, this song is such like a bop, 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 bop that
Yeah.
I just loved it for this.
I know. One of my lyrics too that I was going to talk about earlier when they were like talking on like the roof, I think he says
Yeah.
it. He like tells her that like she is love, like that he doesn't really like believe in love, but that like she's
Yeah.
love or whatever. And there's a line in the song that's like, never met no one like you before. You had to make your own sunshine, but now the sky is opalite. So it's just like Nico telling her that she's love, and he might not believe in love, but he believes in her.
Yes.
And that's like making his own sunshine, making his own love, and that's what turned the sky opalite.
Yep. Now, one thing that we left out here that I do have to bring in, like, right now as we're getting through the end, is that we find out that Nico not only picked up her favorite book while on the trip and was reading, he's been reading her writing and her fan fiction
For years.
for years.
Yeah.
Secretly
The whole time.
been absorbing it for years. He knows all about her weird fanfic quirks that she was so afraid to like share with anyone. And he like references something very specific. And she's like, how the fuck do you know that? And I just, that is to be seen as to be loved. Like,
Yep.
I just, oh, it melted my heart. I loved it so much.
Yeah. And I think that also ties into one of my other lyrics too.
Yes.
But it's, you couldn't understand it, why you felt so alone. You were in it for real. She was in her phone and you were just a pose. And I feel like this is like Nico talking to Junie too. Like you couldn't understand why you felt so alone because you were looking for Reich in your book.
Yeah.
And like Ryan Mayer was just like a pose of this, but like that's why you felt so alone. Like,
yeah.
And kind of like what you said, like Nico saw her and like saw that side, and Junie couldn't understand why she felt alone because of all of that.
Yep.
But then they go and leave Nico's mom's house, and the lackeys find them. The
Oh,
ones that kidnapped them from the Red Jag, and they have the Shrug with them.
and
Shrug.
Junie plays dumb and they underestimate her and then she beats them the fuck up.
Yeah.
And the salty girls appear, live stream the whole thing. The prophecy comes true. She realizes
Mm-hmm.
what the prophecy is. And Hannah already mentioned this too, but then we get to our epilogue, which is Junie is writing a story, presumably the one that we just read, and embellishes the truth a little bit, but then Nico and Junie live happily ever after, which ties into my last lyric because this is kind of a repetitive song, but it just says, I want you for worse or for better. I would wait forever and ever. Broke your heart. I'll put it back together. I would wait forever and ever. And that's just Nico finally getting Junie to realize that she's the reason that he's there. He made up a girl. He's wanted her for years. And now they get the chance to be together. I don't know. I just had so much fun with this. This was just, like Iman said, not only in her author's note was one of my favorite author's notes that I think I've read in a
Yeah.
fiction book because she talks a lot about not only just the love letter to romance, but the disparity in actual education, women's sexual education and
Mhm.
lack of autonomy over bodies as we grow up. And just I don't know. I really I had such a blast with this one.
Me too. My last lyric is it's kind of a long one, but
Yeah.
this is just a storm inside a teacup, but shelter here with me, my love. Thunder like a drum, life will beat you up, up, up. This is just a temporary speed bump, but failure brings you freedom, and I can bring you love. Don't you sweat it, baby. And I
Mm,
feel like that's the stuff they had to go through, the kidnapping, Nico's parents' divorce, stolen wallets, all of those temporary speed bumps kind of brought them to that love and just don't sweat it. We got this together.
yeah. And that was Female Fantasy by
Yeah.
Iman Hariri-Kia. And just like I said, what a delightful, what a delightful romance read.
Yes. Thank you so much for turning the pages with us this week. Be sure to follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Patreon, and join our newsletter to keep up with everything on the other side of the page.
Yes, and please, please, please drop a review and a 5-star rating of the podcast on your preferred platform and share it with your bookish besties.
Yes. And next week, we are talking about Isn't It Obvious by Rachel Runya Katz.
Yes, we will have a blast talking about love between a podcaster, hello, and her editor on February 18th. So forever and always.
Keep reading with kindness.
Bye, everyone.
See ya.